Okay, got a good work in today. Good lengthy practice. A lot of different situations were covered, and I thought they concentrated well and had a good practice. So, good.
Is Eric Hendricks all right?
Eric Hendricks?
Yeah, he hasn't been getting a lot of reps.
Oh, he's fine. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he's good.
Is that heat related?
No,
For him?
no, just giving other guys some work.
Guys you got in the backfield, you envision maybe using up to 4 different backs?
I think we're capable of that. You know, I look at our backfield as one of the strengths of our team. You start with Jet, and then after that you can jumble them around, and Big Pen and Jordan James and Malcolm, and I think if we wanted to, Paul Perkins was a guy that would enter that mix as well. I just think we have to decide how we want to proceed with him. But I think it's a really strong group. I like him.
You mentioned at media day that you were going to ride Jet's gig to death. Do you see maybe you don't have to quite do that? Maybe.
He'll still be the main guy, but I think that if you can have 2 or 3, in our case 4 guys that you really feel good about, that's a real positive for your football team. You'd like Jet to be at his strongest in the 4th quarter. You'd like to insert Malcolm in the 4th quarter. If you've been, if you've got a team down a little bit, if you find yourself in that situation, it's good to have that mix of guys. So I just think the way we run our offense and the tempo that we operate at, it's not unlikely that we can have 85 to 90 plays in games. And so we've got to have multiple backs if we're going to be able to do that.
Jordan, okay, he didn't get into team time.
His ankle's a little sore, but he's been working through it. He pushed through it this morning in the walkthrough, and he did some things here today.
So now you got the quarterback situation resolved. Is there any other position that you're looking at that's a priority right now?
I would say right tackle. Still, a position that we've got to make a determination on. I would say safety, between Tevin and Andrew and Dalton, we still have to settle on the 2, although they'll all 3 play in the nickel situations. I still think at the defensive tackle or defensive end position with Oa and Cassius and Dayton, and we haven't seen Ellis yet. Although once again they'll all rotate through. You're going to use all those guys throughout the game, and they'll probably get pretty equal reps. But if you're just looking for a starter at a position, those are the 3 that kind of stand out to me.
How about kicker? Did you find your starter today?
No, it's too early to say that. Although I'm impressed with the way Kaini's kicking the ball. He asked for the 55-yarder. I wasn't going to give him one that far, and he asked for it, and then I don't know if he pulled it or pushed it, he missed it, and he wanted it again. He punched it through. So I really like his mindset. He's a tough-minded young man, and he'll do a good job for us if he's our starter.
Can we start saying he's a starter? I mean, we're
I don't know. I mean, I would say that he's definitely the leader. I mean, we brought him in here on scholarship with the thought that he'd be our kicker. And then we brought Justin in because we'd heard a lot of good things about him. He hasn't disappointed either. But we would like, to make Kaini the kicker if he earns the job. If he earns it.
Do you have a battle going at nose guard too, or?
No, Brandon. I guess it's what's important to understand about the defensive line is that if we can rotate 6 guys or 7 or even 8 guys through a game, that'll really help us play better. So you'll name a starter. There'll be a guy that runs out there as the starter the first time the defense takes the field. But in all reality, when you look at the end of the game and who got the snaps, it should be pretty equal. And I think that we talked about this in the spring. Our defensive line, much like our running back group, is I think one of the stronger points of our team, at least having depth. And so regardless of who starts, I think you'll see 6, 7, or 8 guys playing every game.
With those guys, are you going to look at situational type?
Yeah, I think both. I think what you'll do is you're always going to try to determine on 3rd down, who your best 2 inside rushers are and get them in there as much as you can. On 1st and 2nd down, if it's a traditional offense that's a little bit more run heavy in those situations or play action pass heavy, then you're going to get maybe a little more stout guy in there. But it could be by situation, or it could just be by rotation. I think that you have to look at your defensive line and say, are they all the same, or are they all built for something a little bit different? If they're built for something a little bit different, then you try to get them in those situations. Right now, I think that they're all probably more built the same than different. one guy who, and I don't point guys out that often, but I'll tell you what, Cassius Marsh is an outstanding football player. I mean, I know that his history here has been kind of up and down, but that guy is a really, really, really good defensive end, big-time defensive end. One of the better ones that I've been around.
Did you get a chance to look at the quarterbacks today?
It's a heavy statement. The quarterbacks?
Yesterday you mentioned you didn't get a chance to look at them. Did you?
Well, I never focus on. I never focus all my attention on any particular position. It's just hard to do that. There's so much to watch, and you're watching tempo, and you're watching execution, you're watching defense, and so it's typically when I go back and look at the film that I kind of focus in on those guys. You guys had mentioned, or you'd asked a question about Brett yesterday, and so I went and looked at it last night and talked to Noel. And he said it never fails that, when you name a guy a starter after a hard battle, they come out that first practice and go, okay, I'm the starter, I got to make every throw. I got to jam everything in there. And then looking at the film, it looked like Brett forced it a little bit last night. And I think today, just like I said, I didn't look at it closely, but I think he settled down a little bit. So
the Cassius number is only heavy if you turn out to be wrong.
Well, I say that, and then I think back on, Chris Dolman is a guy I coached, and he went into the Hall of Fame this year. So maybe that's putting a little bit too much on Cassius, but he is a very, very good football player. He really is, and I think he could develop into something really special. That's probably a better way to put it right there.
Any update on the backup quarterback yet?
No. Give me some time on that, okay?
One decision at a time?
Yeah, one decision at a time.
Can I get your thoughts on Justin Combs and how he's been developing in camp?
Well, he's been battling through a little bit of a shoulder deal, but to his credit, he's been out here every day doing it. And sometimes he looks like he's playing with one arm out there, and he hasn't complained. He's just continued to fight. I like Justin. I think he's a very smart player. He plays with some savvy. He's got a fight the size factor. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he plays with good technique. And I think that as he develops, he'll become a really good player at this level.
What's it like having a high-profile player with a dad like him on the team?
It's not something that I think about.
Any updates injury-wise?
No. Jerry Rice was negative for any fracture. It's just I believe it's just a minor sprain.
His left ankle.
I think it's, you guys know. I don't pay a whole
Rios?
lot of attention to those. Rios I think his quad tightened up, so we pulled him out. Cassius, his ham tightened up, so we pulled him out. But those are really precautionary, just so we can have them back tomorrow. I don't believe there's anything that was serious today. We're hopeful that we'll get some of those offensive linemen back. We had Torian back and Colby again today, and they did a pretty good job. They're still trying to catch up. It's good to have Malcolm back. It looks like close to full speed. It's good to have Joe back. It looks like close to full speed. Shaq was back. I think he was catching the ball again. Looks like he's back at full speed. I guess the main concern right now is just getting those offensive linemen back in the mix. We really need to get them back, but at the same time, we've got to be careful about when we let them get back in, just because of the heat and the head thing.
Someone was out here for a minute and then came back out. Is he still battling?